कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण
Jai all glory Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama-shloke bhaktir-bhavatir-naishtaki. Hare Krishna. Today we will be discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 16, Verse 7. This is about praise of King Prithu by professional reciters. To brief recap here how the professional reciters had been praising Prithu Maharaj. They've been saying that you're the direct incarnation of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, and so forth. So they've been comparing him with previous verse, they've been comparing with the sun god. And today they'll be comparing him with Mother Earth. Titikshyatyakrakam vanya uparyakramatam api bhutanam karuna shashvad artanam shitivrittiman titikshyatyakramam vainya उपर्याक्रमतामपि भूतानां करुण शश्वत् आर्तानां क्षितिवृत्तिमान्. Prabhus,
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Pranam.
Titikshati akramam vanya upari akramatam api bhutanam karuna sakshat artanam shiti brittiman. Hare Krishna.
Anyone else? Avash Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thanks, bro.
Titikshati
Welcome back.
akramam vanya upari akramatampi bhutanam karuna shasha artanam kriti vrittiman. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Anyone else? Are there any Matajis?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Titikshati akramam vanya upari akramataamapi bhutanam karuna shashvat artanam shiti brittiman. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Any other Matajis? No? Okay. Go with the synonyms. Titikshati, tolerates. Akramam, offense. Vainyaha, the son of King Vena. Upari, on his head. Akramatam, of those who are trampling. Api, also. Bhutanam, to all living entities. Karunaha, very kind-hearted. Shashvat, always. Artanam, to the aggrieved. Shitivrittiman, accepting the profession of the earth. Translation by Sri Prabhupada. This king, Prithu, will be very, very kind to all his citizens. Even the poor person may trample over the king's head by violating the rules and regulations. The king, out of his causeless mercy, will be forgetful and forgiving. As a protector of the world, he will be as tolerant as the earth itself. Prabhupada His Divine Prabhupada Ki Jai. King Prithu is herein compared to the earthly planet as far as his tolerance is concerned. Although the earth is always trampled upon by man and animals, it still gives food to them by producing grains, fruits, and vegetables. As an ideal king, Maharaj Prithu is compared to the earthly planet. For even though some citizens might violate the rules and regulations of the state, he would still be tolerant and maintain them with fruits and grains. In other words, it is the duty of the king to look after the comforts of the citizens, even at the cost of his own personal convenience. This is not the case, however, in Kali Yuga, for in Kali Yuga, the kings and heads of state enjoy life at the cost of taxes exacted from the citizens. Such unfair taxation makes the people dishonest, and the people try to hide their income in so many ways. Eventually, the state will not be able to collect taxes and consequently will not be able to meet its huge military and administrative expenses. Everything will collapse and there will be chaos and disturbance all over the state. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gopinath Samarambham Shrimadho Gauramadhyamam Asmadacharya Parantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Saraswamiti Nam. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vasthaya Bhutale Srimati Tamal Krishna Goswamiti Nam. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namne Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nivisheshyanyavadi Paschatidishtarane Shri Chaitanya Manopristam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayamrupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamishta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagarabunathanutam Tam Sanjeevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parisensaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanutamshta E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpati Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusuti Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhabhyevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So this is a very nice um, um, way of describing the king by the professional reciters, that the king is compared to the earth as when it comes to tolerance. Um, and the king is out of his causeless mercy, forgetting and forgetful uh, the offenses of his people, citizens. Most importantly, the king is very kind to all citizens. And even though poor men may tremble over the king's head by violating the rules and regulations, the king, out of his causeless mercy, will be forgetful. This is very, very um, unseen these days, especially when it comes to rulers, the leaders in our society. You know, if someone does something really wrong, really, really bad, the the ruler, the whoever is in charge, punishes the citizens uh, terribly. You know, there's no mercy these days. Um, um, but at the same time, sometimes the king have to be a bit tough because the way the citizens behave too. You know, if the citizens start doing all sorts of activities, the ruler has to take action. He can't just forget and be forgiving. Otherwise, that will that uh, the nonsense activity will continue again and again. I mean, we've been saying these days, right? So much crime is going on in society, and uh, if the criminals are not punished severely accordingly with tougher uh, punishment, then what happens is that they develop this idea that no matter what we'll do, we will get free, especially the younger ones who are in the early teens. And we've been seeing this how they've been uh, engaging in all sorts of criminal activities like ram raids and all sorts of stuff, even stabbing someone and killing them. And the government hasn't been doing much. Government been saying we'll be doing this, but have they actually put a stop to these criminal activities? No. So the government has its own responsibilities. Um, but in this case here, the king is Prithvi Maharaj is considered to be very, very kind. He is compared to Mother Earth. Now, in this case here, there's a very nice verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th Canto, chapter 7, verse 87, whereas it says, Bhutairakramanyam manopi dhiro daiva vasanugai tad vidvan chalena margad anvashiksham shitir pratam. It says a sober person, even when harassed by other living beings, should understand that his aggressors are acting helplessly under the control of God, and thus he should never be distracted from progress on his own path. This rule I've learned from the earth. So the earth, Sri Prabhupada mentioned that the earth is a symbol of tolerance. And by deep drilling, oil drilling, atomic explosions, pollution, and so on, the earth is constantly harassed by demoniac living entities. Sometimes lush forests are cut down by greedy men with commercial interests, and thus a wasteland is created. Sometimes the earth's surface is soaked by the blood of soldiers fighting savage warfare. Yet, despite all these disturbances, earth continues to provide all the necessities of the living beings. In this way, one may learn the art of tolerance by studying the earth. Very nicely described how the earth is very tolerant. I mean, so many things have been done on earth, and yet the earth does not retaliate. The earth does not, uh, say, "I'm not going to stop. I'm going to stop giving you food," or I will not uh, grow any more seeds for you. It doesn't do that. Despite all the nonsense activities we do on Earth, Mother Earth, we uh, harm her in so many ways. We harm nature and everything. Mother Earth is very tolerant and um, provides us with food, fruits, vegetables. Um, and the Lord is pleased. In fact, uh, when the devotee greets the Lord, when it greets everyone with tolerance. It's a very nice verse as well here from Srimad Bhagavatam. We've already discussed this earlier, 4th canto, 11th chapter, verse 13, whereas Swayambhu Manu is instructing Dhruva Maharaj, Titikshaya karunaya maitreya chakila jantushu samatvena cha sarvatma bhagavan samprasiddhati. The Lord is very satisfied with his devotee when the devotee greets other people with tolerance, mercy, friendship, and equality. It is a duty of advanced devotee in the second stage of devotional service, the devotional perfection, to act in accordance with this verse. This is very nice, this emphasis Srila Prabhupada is making. It is therefore said that a saintly person is always tolerant and merciful. He is a friend to everyone, never an enemy to anyone, and he is peaceful. These are some of the qualities, good qualities of a devotee. So, a devotee and a very pious person is always very kind, very tolerant, um, and doesn't harm anyone. You know, like in this case here, Prathu Maharaj is considered to be very kind and very um, tolerant. Um, and that is a great quality of a king, of a just king. A king who looks after all the citizens uh, and treats them equally. That's the most important thing. Treating someone, your citizens, equally and providing them everything that they need. Um, Sometimes they may be a bit um, uh, behavior-wise, they may be a bit inappropriate, but the king uh, is like a father who sometimes forgets his citizens' mistakes. You know, um, in this case, a very nice story of a sadhu, right? Um, in fact, sadhu is always very tolerant. You know, in Srimad Bhagavatam, we find about the qualities of sadhu. Titikshavaha karunikaha suriddraha sarvadehinam ajata shatravaha shanta sadhava sadhubhushana. The symptoms of sadhu are that he is tolerant, merciful, and friendly to all living entities. He has no enemies, he is peaceful, He abides by the scriptures, and all his characteristics are sublime. Um, so, we should not only forgive, in fact, we should learn to forget and, and the fact that we have forgiven, and forget the fact that we have forgiven. Forgive, but also forget the fact that we have forgiven. It's a very important point. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself says, we must be tolerant like the tree and humble like the blade of grass. Such persons can chant the Hare Krishna mantra and preach. Um, you know, we we do all sorts of things to trees. We cut them, and also we trample on the grass, and yet the grass does not retaliate. Very, very humble. So if we can all imbibe these qualities of tolerant, Srila Prabhupada emphasizes that only then we are able to chant the Mahamantra and preach without any difficulty. So there's a very nice story that um, the master is merciful, forgetful, and forgiving. Once there lived a servant who owed a huge amount of money, it's about 10,000 rupees to a king. And the king called the servant and asked him to pay back the debt immediately. Now, as per the law of the state, he said, if the servant is not able to pay him back the debt, he would be selling him to another king. The servant surrendered unto the king, fell at his feet, and pleaded for mercy. Moved by this, the king forgave the servant, let him go free. While the servant was returning home, he met another friend of his who owed him 500 rupees. Completely forgetting the mercy that was shown to him, the servant began to scold his friend, and this got him arrested in jail for not paying back the money. When the king came to know about this, he punished the servant for his unjust behavior. So we also like the servant in the story here. If not the mercy of the Lord, we would not even deserve to get this human birth. If not for the mercy of the devotees like Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, and so many great souls like our family members and well wishers, we would not be even in this position. When we have been tolerated so much by others and received by so much mercy and kindness, we should not be miserly uh, in our behavior when we're given a chance to tolerate and be merciful to others. Even if we are not well treated by them, simply by remembering the mercy that we have received from others, we would be able to overlook the shortcomings of these souls. So, the goal of life is not to receive praise from others, but just try to spread the message of the Lord. Uh, Preach the Sankirtan movement, When we approach others in this mood, then by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, we would be able to help others suffering souls in their path back home, back to Godhead, basically. So, there's a nice story about how sometimes we get forgiven, or we don't forgive others. If we forgive others, then we will be able to, if we are forgiven, then we should be able to forgive others too. There's also a nice story about tolerance. There was a sadhu and a young man by the name Ram. Ram went to the sadhu and asked him, said, Maharaj, please give me initiation, please give me diksha, and accept me as a disciple. So the sadhu said to him, he said, go for a year, do some tapasya, and after 1 year, after you finish tapasya, come back to me after having a bath. So after a year, after he had his bath, he was coming. the sadhu told a nearby sweeper, road sweeper, to put some dust on him. And when the dust went onto this man Ram, he started scolding the road sweeper in so many ways, all sorts of language, foul language, and everything. Was scolding really badly. That how dare you put dust on me? I've just hit my shower and all of that. Anyway, so he went to Sadhu, and the Sadhu said, um, "Go for a year. You haven't learned tolerance yet, so you must go do penance for another year, and after that, have your shower and come back to me." So this time, um, Ram went back. He did a penance for a year, had his bath, and he was coming. And this time, the sadhu told this, the same road sweeper to touch his feet with a broom, with a dirty broom, and that's what he did. And when he did that, Ram started again scolding the road sweeper. He said, "How dare you touch me with this dirty broom? I've just had my bath," and all sorts of things. And when the sadhu saw this, sadhu said to him, "I'm not going to give you initiation yet. You need to learn how to tolerate. Go back and learn tolerance, and then come back to me after a year." So he went back, and then after a year, Ram again coming back after having his bath, and this time the sadhu told the road sweeper to pour a basket full of garbage on his head while he was coming. So this time, these those the road sweeper took the garbage and put all on Ram's head, and Ram in return, by this time he's learned how to tolerate, and he said, "Thank you so much by doing this. By doing this, you have taught me how to be tolerant." You know, and when the sadhu saw this, then the sadhu said, "Now you've learned tolerance. I will now give you initiation." So tolerance is a very big thing, and we all have to learn to tolerate in every situation in this material world if we want to be peaceful. You know, if we can control our anger, then that's one of the biggest enemies of us. Anger. And a lot of times, if someone says this to us, we start reacting. We start saying all sorts of things in return. Someone punches us, we go and punch that person because we haven't learned to retaliate. But again, you retaliate to an extent where um, um, you don't have to fight, but you got to respond in a way that the person that you can make a point to the person. You know, um, um, so we have to learn this very important, you know, thing, which is to tolerate. I mean, we've seen so many great personalities tolerate so many difficult situations in their lives, like Sri Prabhupada. Sri Prabhupada in the early days, he tolerated so much, especially with the young um, new devotees who had joined him in the early days. They didn't know anything about cleanliness, etiquette, or anything for that matter. Sri Prabhupada tolerated all of that. Even some of them uh, spoke harshly with Sri Prabhupada. Some of them gave tough time to him. He tolerated. He tolerated all sorts of difficult situations because he had the ultimate. Um, uh, he was focused on the ultimate reason or the purpose, which was to preach, which was the instruction that was given to him by his spiritual master. So he was focusing on the higher goal. We also see how Lord Nityananda Prabhu was hit by Jagai and Madhai, and so many things were bad things was done to Lord Nityananda, but Lord Nityananda did not react, knowing the sinful situation, the condition of these two brothers. He did not react, but instead he begged for forgiveness from Lord Chaitanya when Lord Chaitanya was about to, annihilate them with his Sudarshan Chakra. He begged the Lord for forgiveness, to forget about what had happened and forgive them. And by Lord Nityananda's mercy, Jagan Madhai became wonderful devotees. We also see this difficult situation of Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur was beaten in 21 marketplaces, and yet he was praying, "My dear Lord, please forgive them." You know, another classic example is Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ was being crucified, and yet he was praying, "My dear Lord, please forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing." In fact, the classic example of another tolerance is King Harishchandra. Vishwamitra was putting Harishchandra uh, uh, into so many difficult situations, and yet he was very tolerant and he did not give up truthfulness. And that is why today we call Raja uh, Satyavadi Harishchandra, very truthful. He never gave up truthfulness. He was very, very tolerant. He tolerated all the difficult situations was put in by Vishwamitra. So a just king is forgiving. I mean, we have so many wonderful kings in history who were very, very wonderful. Just Parikshit Maharaj was a just king, very, very kind to citizens, very uh, um, and also Lord Ram. Lord Ram in his kingdom, everyone was peaceful, everyone was happy. He was kind to citizens, and he looked after all citizens very nicely. Unlike today, Srila Prabhupada mentions that um, today's leaders are enjoying uh, themselves by extracting taxes from their citizens. So the citizens are, when they are put into difficult situations like heavy taxation, then what they do is they look at all sorts of opportunities to uh, to save their money, right? For example, where they would need to make a uh, electronic transaction, sometimes they might end up just doing cash transaction. I mean, for example, businesses, right? Some businesses out there, to avoid paying tax, they would prefer um, cash transaction so that they can show only what amount of money they need to show. So because of the taxation system, the citizens sometimes play smart as well because they do not want to show their income to IRD or to the government, and that they consider, and that's considered to be black money. But why they do that? They do that because of the reason that they are put into difficult situations in terms of taxation. The taxation system is so bad in so many countries. And here we pay about 33% in tax. Um, some countries even worse. But the reason why people do that because of the um, situation they put in. We've seen leaders to be really, really ruthless without any mercy. Um, Classic example is the war that's going on between Russia and Ukraine. Without caring for its citizens, people are pushed into the war to fight, and without caring that they will come back um, um, safely. War is not always a solution, but these these unscrupulous leaders, you know, who are full of ego these days, they are wanting to uh, um, satisfy the ego rather than having to satisfy their own citizens. You know, a just leader will always satisfy, look after the welfare of his own citizens. He would not put in so many different taxes. He will not put them in a situation where their life is in difficult situation. Um, and that's what we're seeing these days in the Ukraine-Russia war. If the Ukrainian leader was a bit more intelligent, perhaps, I mean, this is my perspective, then he would have tried to avert avert this whole war right at the very beginning, um, by some sort of negotiation, so that this whole war would not have started. He would not have had this stubbornness. If we would have given up the stubbornness to join NATO, maybe the war would not have started. It would not even, and so many people would not have died. The whole country would not have been ruined today. And of course, you have the Russian side who had this ego that he wants to win no matter what, despite uh, failing to win to an extent. So you have these leaders out there who put uh, who are not kind, who are not merciful, basically like butchers, pushing the people out to get them killed, basically. On the contrary, this case here, Prithu Maharaj is considered to be a very kind, loving, forgiving, and forgetting uh, the um, the wrongdoings of their own citizens. So that is exactly what we need in society these days. You know, um, very, very rarely there are leaders out there who are very, very tolerant. Um, Maybe you can say for example, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. One thing I've learned from him is that I see in him in the sense that he's very tolerant. I've noticed that there's so many things that's been said against him, and um, so many bad words being used, even accused of different things, and even though he's trying to do good for his citizens, but sometimes, you know, people do not see that good. And I remember during the Kisan Andolan that was going on last year, some of the citizens who were protesting, and they actually said things like Marja Modi, you know, hi Modi, Marja Modi, you know, saying those kinds of things where you are actually praying for the death of your prime minister. Despite that, he was still uh, um, focused on doing good for his people. He did not react, he did not say anything, because he said, I don't care what people say. My focus is on to look after the benefit of my own people. So there are very rare cases out there where, you know, you have leaders who are very tolerant, who are very forgiving. Of course, when the leaders um, or the kings uh, activities become really bad, and that's the time when Mother Earth cannot tolerate, she assumes the form of a cow, and goes to the demigods, pray for them for protection. So tolerant, one can tolerate only to an extent, but after some time, one will want to do something about it. So in summary, a king, a leader, is supposed to be very tolerant like earth. Um, the Lord is pleased when the devotee meets others with tolerance. We must be tolerant like a tree and humble like the blade of grass. Only then we will be able to chant the Mahamantra and preach. Um, the duty of the king is to look after the comfort of his citizens. And in Kali, the kings and heads of state enjoy life at the cost of taxes exacted from the citizens. And Because of the unfair taxation system, it makes people dishonest. So that's I'll put this to an end now. Anyone's got any comments, questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Oh,
Was a beautiful class about the Titikshati. Yes, it's very, very important for each and every body, whether we are devotee or with the citizen, general people in the country. This is a very, very important uh, quality of a person. And he
mm,
gave us so many good examples, like our Dhruva Maharaj, the qualities of sadhus, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the example about Ram and the sadhu. Yes, that is the real learning for us. We have
mm,
not yet come to that point how to be a tolerant. In so many ways, we are treated, but still the inherent property of intolerance is still flushing out. So it's very, very important for all of us to learn the how to tolerate, as Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita 2:14. So that is what we need to learn. No matter what, as exemplified by the example of Narendra Modi, is really, if we look at this through Shastric injunction, is doing very, very good. Only people can understand who read this scripture what he is doing actually. Of course, we don't see 100% good, but still is trying. That is the most important. We need to try to become. We cannot be in one day titikshati, but we need to go for it. Then
mm.
only things, uh, you know, things brighten up. So very good examples. Prabhuji, just a question. This reference you gave about this quality of king,
Mm.
Canto 11. Would you please repeat that those two, quality of sadhus and qualities of king? You said 11
So
Canto.
11th canto, chapter 7, verse 37. So a sober
Okay.
person, even when harassed by other living beings,
Mm.
should understand that his aggressors are acting helplessly under the control of God, and thus he should never be distracted from progress on his own path. This rule I have learned from the earth.
34 you said.
37.
Oh,
11,
37.
7, 37.
11, 7, 37. And the other one about the sadhus, so that is also from Srimad
Uh,
Bhagavatam.
so the other one was Titikshaya Karunaya. That's 4, 11,
4,
13.
11, 13. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the qualities of sadhu also
And
you,
and the quality of the sadhu is 3, 25, 21.
25, 21. Thank you so much.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a very good lesson for all of us. We need to learn it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, bro.
Hare Krishna.
Anyone else? Tolerance, developing tolerance, quality of tolerating is very, very difficult. But I think that's something we all have to aspire, even though we recite Shikshashtakam every day, Cheto Darpanamarjam and then Trinada
Mm.
Bhiksunityena. How many of us actually uh, truly um,
Follow
following
it.
or
Yeah.
following that? It's basically called Rata Rata Gyan, It's like parrots recited every
Yeah,
time.
just for the sake of saying,
We do
we
it for the sake
recite.
of saying, but in this instance, there's a very nice story about how there was uh, sadhu who used to keep uh, parrots in his and teach the parrots every single day this thing here. Sadhu aega, shikari aega, jal bichhega, jal mein phasna nahi. That means the the hunter will come, he will throw his net, and yet you do not get entangled in the net. So every day these parrots used to recite, Shikari aega, jal bichhega, jal mein phasna nahi. One day, in reality, a hunter came, he threw his net, And all the parrots got in the net, and yet the parrots are reciting, Shikari aega, jal bichayega, jal mein phasna nahi. But if the sadhu had taught them what is a shikari, what is a net, and what is getting entangled in the net, then perhaps the parrots would not have um, and got
Oh,
entangled in the net. But our situation is basically like that. We all recite for the sake of reciting, but actually we
yes.
don't know the meaning behind it. That what exactly do we need to do? Because we do it for the sake of doing it. Aptrana pistuni chena tarura pisayisnana amani
Mm,
namani dina kirtan sadhari. We do that
mm,
all the time, right? But are we actually becoming tolerant? You know, but Sri Prabhupada mentions here, one who's able to be tolerant, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that one who has become tolerant, only that person can chant Mahamantra and um, preach. So when we are tolerant, then because the thing is, if we are not tolerant, then our focus will be going on about how
ego.
can I teach this person a lesson? How can I take revenge? How can I,
Mm,
do something that will satisfy my ego? We'll be focusing more on that. But if we are undisturbed, just like the weather's changed, the seasons changed, if we remain undisturbed irrespective of whatever the situation is, we will not get worried about. We will not be focusing on it. Our focus should be diverted towards chanting, towards thinking about Krishna in 24/7 Krishna conscious. But instead, sometimes what happens, our mind gets drifted into, how can I teach this person a lesson? He said this to me. What do I need to do to teach this person a lesson, or whatever it is? So that's something we have to divert. Always divert that negative energy to positive energy.
yeah, bro, I agree on this. Fully agree. We should everybody, because this is the reason why our chanting is not good. This is the
Mm.
only reason, one of the very important reason. Because in our mind, these two clashes is there. One is, how to be controlling the anger, because that ego is always disturbing. Somebody says something, we don't think of that and try to manipulate the ego. And because we are engaged in maintaining the ego, whether it is satisfied or unsatisfied, and we get all disturbed. And that
Right.
is exactly what is happening.
That's right. If we learn how to remain um, indifferent, irrespective of someone praises us or someone criticizes us, if we
Mm.
remain indifferent, only then we will become peaceful. But at the
Yes.
moment, it's something that's difficult for us. It's something that we have to develop gradually. Um, you know, um, like I said, and Narendra Modi was a classic example because I've seen him many times where so many people say so many things they've heard him, different sorts of things, words. Some even, like I said, the people had asked, they've been chanting to uh, they're wishing him to die. How can you, how can a sober person pray for someone's death?
Mm.
That is really bizarre. That is really inappropriate. Despite that, he was indifferent. He didn't care. He has, he's got a goal. He's got a path that he's working towards. So I think that's something I can learn from him. I personally have learned from him that just don't worry what people say. Uh,
Focus
just
on the
like
goal.
just like as there's a saying, in Hindi, "Hati chale bajar, kutta bhoke hajar," right? So that means when the elephant is walking in the town, what happens is that naturally the dogs will bark at the elephant because for them it's just that's natural for the dogs to bark when an elephant moves. But the elephant doesn't waste his energy in attacking the dogs. Rather, he just majestically walks on his own path. You know, does you don't folk he doesn't the elephant doesn't focus on going after the dogs because that's not his goal. So he doesn't care. He remains indifferent. You know, there's another nice story in this case here. there was a hog that was living near a temple in a river, and every day two elephants from the temple, male and a female, they used to go to the river, have the bath early in the morning, and then go to the temple for the service. So after some time, this hog or this pig had a partner. So the partner instigated his male partner, her male partner, and said, "Why don't you go and challenge these elephants? Why don't you challenge them for a fight?" And um, the male uh, pig basically got this boost, oh, okay, yeah, maybe it's a good idea. I should go and fight. I should go and challenge these two elephants. So he went out and he challenged the elephants, and the elephants basically just remained indifferent, just didn't care, and then just had the shower, bath, and then they went back. So when they were walking back to the temple, the female elephant asked the male elephant, "Why did you not, uh, take the challenge? Why did you just walk back?" The male elephant said, "The fact is, I could give him a good kick and he can just go flying far away, no doubt, right? Easy, it's easy for me. But why would I waste my energy fighting with this pig? Foremost, most importantly, I've just had my shower, a bath. Why would I make myself dirty by kicking this pig and become dirty myself, right? Because the pig was dirty, living in a swamp. So why do I waste my energy? Why do I, you know? And if I do kick him, then I will definitely win, and I will. But the fact is, I will get dirty. I've just had my bath. Why would I want to do that?
Mm.
You know. In the same way, sometimes you just remain indifferent. You just don't care what people say. You just do what you need to do. I mean, I remember my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj, was one time was asking some of the, he had an idea about something, and he was asking these devotees, his Hiranyagarbha brothers, about what do you think about this idea? What do you think about this idea? And he asked, and everyone's giving him all sorts of ideas, uh, this, you should do this. Maybe it's not a good idea. You shouldn't do it, and this and that. So he was getting confused. So he went to his senior court brother, his Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and he asked him about this. And he said, What do you think? Should do I do it or not?" He said, "If you think it's good, then immediately do it. Don't ask too many people, because you will definitely get so many different views from different people, and eventually you might end up discouraged and not even do it. If you think there's a benefit of doing it, you want to do it, and it's good, by all means do it. You know, so don't get. I mean, there's a lot of times we end up in this situation. We ask uh, devotees, so, "What do you think about this? Should I do it? Should I not? Should I not?" If it's beneficial in devotional service, go ahead and do it. Anything that is conducive to devotional service, that's nothing wrong with that. Even when he was making this Abhaycharan series, he got some people criticized him for, the way it was produced and everything. But what is most important is the effort that you've put in. It's easy for us to criticize someone, but I remember Sri Marcus Maharaj say, if you can't do anything better, don't criticize. And if you can do better, then go and do it and show us that you can do better than that.
Yes, that is the exact the proposition.
Mm.
Should be like that.
Mm. So we should not criticize someone because we think it's, we were just for doing criticizing because for the sake of criticizing. We must always uh, say, if I can do it better, then by all means go and do it and show it that I can do it. But don't criticize. You know, and if you were to, recommend something, if someone has done something, there's a way of how to give your feedback. You don't give your feedback and rip the person apart in front of everyone. Give the feedback in a nice way, privately. And if you in that way, the person will appreciate that you give good feedback. That where the changes can be made, where the person can do better, and you don't do that in front of people. A lot of times we've seen senior devotees, they have feel that, oh, I'm senior, I can do anything, any damn thing with other devotees, and that is not appropriate. Irrespective whether senior or not, you must treat everyone equally. And this is what we learn, that Dhruv Maharaj was just
Yeah.
a king who was equal to everyone. He was not biased in anyone. So we must treat everyone equally and not uh, uh, put in anyone in a difficult situation, because one bad encounter can put the person off, and the person might even turn up at the temple and, oh, our goal as devotees to make others devotees, and that can be only possible if we act accordingly, deal with the devotee, the person, with love and compassion, forgetting all the past, forgetting what has happened, forget how can we make that person become closer to Krishna, how can we make that person uh, develop that loving mood, the live the art of serving, art of tolerance. So, anyone else has got any
Thank
comments to make?
thank you very much, Prabhuji, for explaining the way of changing the behavior, which is the part of tolerance. It's very, very important. Yeah.
Yeah, this is something that we lack today. Yes, Prabhash Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for nicely explaining the things and particularly tolerance. And if we look even from the material point of view, the person who is tolerating, the person who is telling against you or for you, in fact, that doesn't change your position or our position. What
Mm,
am I is am I. And if someone praises me, it doesn't mean I have got good qualities with me. And if someone blames me, it does not take away the good qualities I am having. So what I have to do to improve myself is to improve myself and not based on what the others say. So sometimes if
mm,
we tolerate, we get feedback from them what we are lacking. If we are tolerant, we can hear from them, yes, I can improve on them. But
mm,
that is my duty, or it is my responsibility to improve myself and not what the other says. Based on that, I should not, that can help me to, if I tolerate it, I get the opportunity from them what I'm lacking.
mm,
And it is an opportunity for me to improve myself. And when one, in fact, uh, I mean, one person who blames me, but on the other hand, one who says I'm very good, that is in fact a barrier for me to improve, because I'm thinking if I think that I am very good, then I have no opportunity to improve myself. And in fact, all of us have scope for improvement, so we should tolerate to improve ourselves and not hear to what they are saying and react to them. We should remain, we should not react to them, but take it as an opportunity to improve ourselves. I think that is the good point, and you have explained nicely about the various examples of various people who has
mm,
tolerated and has shown us the example before us how to tolerate. And
mm,
Mm.
and finally, you have told that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's the Shikshastakam, the third verse, that Trinada Pishani Chinatara Rigo Shakshana. So if we bear with that or learn from that, we can improve ourselves towards Krishna consciousness, and that
mm.
will help us not only to ourselves but help others also to come near to Krishna. That is the goal of ISKCON. Thank you very much.
That's right. That's right. Thank you, Prabhu. That's
Yeah.
a very
Yeah.
fantastic point. Yes.
Yeah, that's adding to that. Just learning has no age. Each and every moment we need to learn. Whether it is small or big, doesn't matter.
Mm,
But learning is a process. Till you are alive, you have to learn. there is no end of it. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, definitely. Learning is, we learn every single day,
Mm,
and we learn from different people. You know,
yeah.
we have to learn from pick up the good things. We have to be like those bumblebees that take nectar out of
Mm,
flowers, and not be like flies spraying dirt. You know,
mm,
so we have to take the good qualities out of people, and our goal should be focusing on our own personal improvement. You know, personal development. How can I become better at what I'm that I need to do? You know, just like when we are working in offices, we have this personal development program, right? We focus on how what skills do I need to have, um, and those are the areas that we need to identify, and we focus on that. So likewise, we as devotees, and as human beings, we need to identify areas of improvement that we think we should that we should develop as devotees. Tolerance, compassion, uh, love, those kinds of things. These are things very important, and these things are conducive to devotional service. So yes, Abash Prabhu, it's a very good point. Thank you so much, and of course, Tushra Chaitan Prabhu as well. Anyone else has got any comments to make before I end? No? Okay, we'll end this here. Granth Rashman Bhagavatam ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu.
Vasindhuvaivacha patitanam
Patita Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo
Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai.
Jai
Srila
Prabhupada
Prabhupada
ki
ki
jai.
jai.
Jai
Lord
His
Premanande Hari Bo.
Hiranyagarbha Prabhu ki jai.
Jai.
Shri Gurudev ki jai. Thank you, Hare Krishna.